Topic for today's devotion is who to marry. Wherefore, by their fruit ye shall know them. Matthew 7:20. Bible reading Mark 10 to 11 for 1 year. Read 2 Corinthians 6:14 to 16. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbeliever, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement are the temple of God with idol? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Today Bible reading says that you should not be unequally yoked with unbeliever. Hence, Christians should not get married to unbeliever. If Christian gets themselves yoked in marriage with unbeliever, thinking they can change them, they are only deceiving themselves. People who refuse to change before marriage hardly ever change after marriage. It is also important to note that being nice or conscious is not the same thing as being born again. As a child of God, you are standing on the rock, the solid rock, or an unbeliever is on the other hand, is standing on a merry clay. When you are standing on a rock and you are holding someone who is standing on a merry clay, the chances are very high that the fellow standing on a merry clay will cause you to either stumble or fall completely, because he or she is standing on a slippery ground. This is what happened with many believers who think they can change their unbelieving partner. Their partner will more often than not cause them to stumble and fall, and they might end up losing their faith in the process. The Bible says in 4 Corinthians 10:12 and 46, let him that thinketh he stand take heed lest he fall. Also, Christians who are not yet married should not marry people who stubbornly refuse to listen to correction and make necessary change in their action or behavior. The Bible says in Proverbs 15:32, he that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. If you are a Christian who is not yet married, don't marry someone who does not have an authority figure and he or she listen to or submit to. Anyone who does not listen to anybody or submit to anyone will not listen to you either. Also, it is not advisable for a believer to marry immature Christian. It is better for a believer to marry someone who has attained a level of spiritual maturity and is constantly growing, so they can sharpen each other. Iron sharpeneth iron, so as man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Proverbs 27:17. If you are not yet married, do not marry a carnal Christian, because such fellow attachment to the things of the world rather than the spiritual thing can also cause you to stumble and fall. Beloved, marrying the right person is like experiencing heaven on earth. However, if a fellow marries the wrong person, he or she will experience hell on earth. Key points: Christians who are not yet married should be careful of who they marry.